We'll go find us a shady spot, and I'll give you my comments on my full rack system on the back of the bike. Hey, Solo Scout here. We are going to take the CRF300L through the trails on our property today. Yesterday we got the brush hog out on the tractor and cut down the trails. So we're gonna run the trails with the motorcycle and see how well things look. There's a lot of limbs that need to be cut back, but the trail itself is much better after the brush hogging. Now we've only got about a quarter of the property cut for ATV trail and nothing additional for motorcycles. Here's the wagon turnaround. This is as far as the wagon goes. So it turns around there and goes back. We can take the four-wheeler and the motorcycle this way down into where the pond is. And calling it a pond is pretty generous, but it is a standing body of water, so we'll call it a pond. Now, after running the brush hog, the tractor over that stuff back there, it's a little loose, so need to be prepared for some sliding. There's a deer. Look at it go. Sweet. So that's one of the reasons why I don't ride on my own property very much, and that sounds terrible. You know, you got your own property, why you got to go somewhere else? Well, I don't want to pressure the deer that make their home here and have them decide that somewhere else might be a little more fun to live. That part right there, real easy on the four-wheeler. You ain't gotta worry about the bike sliding out from underneath you on a four-wheeler, but I'm just not as confident on the two-wheeler. course, the Honda handles it just fine, even with the balding stock tire. Right about here is where we found my GoPro yesterday. It had come off the mount attached to the roll bar of the tractor, and the mount didn't give way. The little snap-in part, it just slid out or got shoved out or something, and it was in a super suit, a GoPro super suit, and it had popped the GoPro out of the super suit, pulled the latch completely off, but both pieces, all pieces, even though they become separated, were just fine. There's a tiny little nick in the rubberized covering of the GoPro, but it's this one right here, and it's working just fine. So there you go. Well made as far as durability. They've got their quirks for sure. But pretty happy that we were able to find it and it's still working. Now the trail area is much better to ride on with the weeds cut down. You can see there's a bunch right here. Very rocky through here, and again on the four-wheeler you just don't have any concerns at all. You just blast right through it. But on the two-wheeler, with all the twists and turns and turning on a pile of loose rocks, I'm a little more careful with the throttle. Right there was my deer blind, my tree stand I should say. Alright, we're going to slow down a little bit now. We're going to get in the rut and get out of it, because that's the only way I know how to get through this on the two-wheeler. You can see the tractor tires and the four-wheeler tires. And the Honda gets through there just fine. And then we're back on this trail. We'll turn around up here. Not on them big old rocks though. Alright, give her a little gas. Oh, that was a good one there. We'll go find us a shady spot, and I'll give you my comments on my full rack system on the back of the bike. Alright, there's the tree stand. We'll get us a spot in the shade right here. Okay, looks like a good spot here. I'll get the camera set up and give a little review, little thoughts, little comments on my full rack system, full rear rack system for the Honda CRF300L. Alright, so this is the full rear rack system for the Honda CRF300L, and it's got a brand on there, Yamato, and I had this shipped from overseas, and I can't blame the shipping company, I blame the seller. It changed shipping companies before it ever left the country of origin twice before it ever moved. So yeah, it was just one of those kind of things where you sell something but either you don't have it or you don't want to ship it for whatever reason. Anyway, this is a good overview of what it looks like. We'll get the camera mounted and we'll take that bag off. This is my day bag, by the way. This is what I carry on the bike almost always, and it's got just about everything I need for a day ride. First aid with the Molly system woven in there. Molly was after my time in the military, but I like it just fine. This is what I was used to in the Army, the Alice system. So I'm comfortable with the Alice clips and the Alice gear in general. But we'll get this mounted. Okay, so one of the great things about this rack is that it's obviously, since it's a rack, it's rigid and you can mount things to it. It's got slots and bungee hook holes in it all over the place. It just makes it a lot easier to quickly mount and unmount your gear. On this one I have a couple rock straps, and just unclipping the rock straps and the bag's off. Put the bag over here. After that out. All right. So as you can see, the rack really changes the look of the rear end of the bike. Yes, you can say it's ugly. It definitely removes that sleek predator shark-like aspect of the rear end, but what I gain is just, it offsets it and more. You can get this brand of rack without the side pieces, without the side racks, and just the rear rack. And a lot of people go with just a rear rack, and you know, can make that work just fine. There's plenty of bags out there for rackless mounting, but I wanted something that I could throw my saddle bag and rear bag onto and have it kept away from the exhaust, and just have a real solid mounting for those soft bags. And if you decided to go with hard bags, obviously plenty of mounting spots that you could mount the hard bag mounts onto. So what have we got going on in our rear rack besides the bag? Well, on this side, you can see that the exhaust is here, so there's no room on the inside. So it's left alone. But on this side, it's got the same amount of width. You can get some racks that are offset, or they're not equal.
Let them around.
And the side rack on this side comes in all the way. But this one is the same width, so that you can get to the factory toolbox without any issues. So there's this space on the inside that you can fill up with gear. There is an off-brand 3-liter gas can that can be mounted in here. I went with a tire changing tool pouch. That's just a cheapy, no-name spoons and valve stems and rim savers and things like that in there. And on this side there is a fuel bottle. And for a fuel bottle, we got an empty one here. I love military surplus. Military surplus is my favorite. Most of the time it's good quality stuff. If it's actual issue items, and so I'll try to find military surplus when I can. This is a Dutch military surplus fuel bottle, and it's just like all the other fuel bottles you see, with a couple of exceptions. There is English on this side, but pretty cool there. It has a regular cap with O-ring seal, but inside there is a valve, so you can, just dispense the fuel easily. And you're saying, well, that's kind of a pain in the butt with the thing in there, but check this out. Here's the lid cap. On this side there is a keyed as a wrench. Pretty cool, huh? So obviously you remove this to fill the bottle, and you could dispense quickly without that in there, but just fill it up. It's normal thread, so it'll work with all your fuel stoves and anything else that you'd normally use a fuel bottle for. And then just give it a little snug with the wrench cap. But what I like is that not only does this seal the bottle, obviously, but this does as well. So it has 2 seals to keep from leaking if you're storing it other than upright. And the cavity in the cap is deep, so it does not depress the valve when you screw the cap on. That valve is still in the closed position, so it has stopped the fuel flow, and also your ring seal on the cap itself. So this is what I use. You can pick this up at any of your fine military surplus sales outlets. So there you go, that's what I use. Alright, we're going to grab a hold of the camera and get a close-up of the underside there. So take a deep breath. Alright, so here's a close-up of the underside. There's the exhaust side, and you really don't want to be putting anything under there, mounting anything on the inside, but there's the outside. Of course, bags go there, so I don't permanently attach anything there. But the underside of the off exhaust side looks like that, and there is plenty of room for things. There is my no-name tire kit, and on this side you would expect that I would have a fuel bottle holder, and that's what I'm using that for. But that is actually a 36-ounce insulated bottle holder, insulated drinking bottle holder. So that's what it's labeled or listed as on your online shopping sites. And it has a little pouch. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a pouch on the outside, and I have a inner tube in it, a spare inner tube. But it has MOLLE system, but unfortunately it doesn't fit the greatest on the rack slots. So I've got another keeper here, and it is mounted upside down so that I can unzip it and pull the bottle out from the bottom. These are the little pulls on the zipper, and if you lace them through like that, those zippers won't unzip from each other. They might move back and forth, but they won't open up and drop your bottle out. So there's your tip there. These rock straps that I have on here are just looped through the molly webbing on the day bag, and I just leave them on the bag. Rock straps aren't super cheap, but in this instance it's worth it to me to have these set of straps dedicated to the day bag, and because they have bungee integrated into the strap, it's fairly simple just to snap it back on the bike without having to retension and rerun the straps through. They hold their position pretty good. Just bring that up over the tail or the turn signal, get it lined up, and there you go. Day bag strapped on with no touching the exhaust or the plastics or anything else. Really like the rack system. Would love it if somehow it magically was prettier, but then it would lose that functionality that I want more. So there we go. Again, just in case I missed something, the mounting options are just basically unlimited, whatever you can think of. There are 4 holes underneath my sticker here. You can mount roto packs on the outside, but then you'll give up that space if you put saddlebags over the top of it. And there's the 4 mounting on that side for the roto pack style, but you can also mount it on the inside if you didn't have all that stuff. All right, so that's gonna have to be it. There's a bridge. I want to pull a Fraser and run right into the mailbox. Right up them rocks, not bad. Now, this is the part we didn't brush hog. We're gonna have to get the brush hog out again and get this part here done. This is Solo Scout. I'm Oscar Mike.